Right. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, clearly.
Oh, that's very good. Okay. Thank you very much for coming along and attending. As Bernard has pointed out, this is the last one that we will be doing. I am available on the Slack channel. You can direct message me if you really have a problem. But there is a validation channel on the Slack as well. And there are many very experienced validators who will be able to help you with any of your questions. Right, so a recap, what we have done so far is I've explained to you that you need to understand the issues with each feature so that you can make informed decisions about them. You need to be clear about the instructions for each project, and you need to be able to understand the full function of what you are doing. You are ambassadors. You will remain polite at all times when you are dealing with the volunteers who need your help because they are making errors. Um, Bernard, will you be wanting to do translations of what I am saying today?
No, you can go ahead. I'll try to figure out
Oh,
something after this.
okay, fine. Thank you. Right. So today, as we've gone through understanding. We've gone through the different tools that are being used and how to use them. Today's session, I'm going to talk you through the process and how you manage your validation stage by stage. I will put in the chat the document you need to be looking at, and this is the validation process. Okay, right. So we're going to start off right at the beginning where you open up a task. Now, remember when you're looking at the tasks, those tasks that have been split into smaller tasks are going to be the busiest ones, and the larger ones will have less work. So that will give you an idea that if you have a good amount of time, please go ahead and try and do the smaller tasks and get them out the way because those are the busiest ones with the most work. If you're very short on time, you can look at some of the bigger sized tasks which should have less work and should be quicker to validate. However, that is not always the case. Sometimes those big tasks are busier because of previous mapping. Right, so I'm going to try now and share my screen. Um, right, I hope you can see my screen. So we have started at the top here where we are opening a task. The first thing that you will be doing um, is the check that all features have been added. Uh, right, so you want go away. You want to check that all features have been added. And the first thing that you do is open up your task. You look at the overall. Remember, I showed you to drag a box around, and that will help you to see what you are looking at, what has been highlighted, and what hasn't been mapped. So if we are going to go down and we have check all features are added and we have a no, the process for the no is first of all to check, is there only a few that need to be added? And if there's only a few, then you can go ahead and add them. But first of all, check, are they valid? In other words, is it something like streets that are not being asked for? Is it something like land use that is not being asked for in the instructions? It may be a buildings only project. So please check the instructions of what you should be validating and try to stick to validating. Uh, Sorry, my computer wants to do updates. Uh, Fortunately, I was able to say no. Right. So we if we get a no, we check. Is there a few to add? Are they valid? If it's no, you just go on to the next section, which is run the validation function. If it's no, are they valid? And then you say yes, you can add them and go on to the run validation function. Um, However, if there are too many to add and they are valid, then you must invalidate. Please understand, it is not wrong to invalidate a task. It is far better for us to send a message to the project creator and also to the trainers to understand whether the beginners are actually understanding what they're being taught or whether they need further training, or the permissions need to be upgraded because the tasks are too difficult for beginners. But all of that is the kind of message that you send when you invalidate a project, sorry, a task. Um, when you invalidate, please put in the comments the reason why you have invalidated so that the next person that tries to open it will understand what needs to be mapped. Now, I understand that this does not always happen. As is the case, beginners don't understand to look at the comments. Beginners don't understand how to fix any problems. And quite often, the invalidated task will sit there for a while. However, we are working on a process whereby we could have people in place that will look for these invalidated tasks and fix them up. So please don't be shy. Please invalidate if there is a lot of work to do. There is only a very few validators. Less than 2% of the total mappers are actual validators. So you can understand that your work is very important in validating rather than fixing up the tasks. If you have finished validating all of those available, you can go back and do some of the tasks that have been invalidated, but rather do those towards the end and leave them for mappers to fix up so that you can carry on using your time to check the work. Right. So we've gone through the process of checking if all the features are here. The next part, of course, is run the validation function in JOSM. and that will come up with a whole series of errors and warnings. Now, these have got to be checked individually, because you cannot trust that you have got a false positive or a false negative. So you need to check each one. If you run the validation function and there are no errors, you can go on to the next section. So we are running the validation function, and we have found no errors. We go on to the mapathon. But at the present moment, let's just say that yes, there are errors. You go once again through the process. Are there only a few errors? And are they valid? An invalid one would be something like a roads project where they say, oh, there are 26 residential roads without names. Now, you cannot name a road from satellite imagery, and this takes local knowledge to be able to do that. Please remember at all times, do not copy from any other existing map, online or printed. OpenStreetMap's copyright is free, and we want to keep it free. And if we contaminate it with copyrighted material from other sources, then they can shut us down and cause a lot of problems for OpenStreetMap. So please do not copy from anywhere else. It has to be either derived from the satellite imagery or from local knowledge that you specifically know about. Thank you for obeying that and observing it. That is very important. Right, so you go back to a few errors. Are they valid? No, you can go on to the mapathoner. If they are valid, you add them. Now, if there are too many to add, you ask, are they valid? If no, you can go on to the mapathoner. If they are valid, please invalidate and comment why you have invalidated, so that the next person will understand. You will see this invalidate comes up quite a lot. Moving on to the next one is to run the mapathoner. We discussed all of these add-ons in previous sessions. So the mapathoner is sitting at the top of your screen, and you can run the non-orthogonal function, and that will highlight all of the buildings that are unsquared. There is also a function there for round buildings. So if you have a lot of round buildings, you can run that one as well, the non-round buildings, from the mapathoner. So if you have no unsquared buildings, which is very unusual, but you can go on to the next section, which is running the map paint styles. So you've got your mapathoner orthogonal. Yes, there are unsquared buildings. Once again, if there's only a few unsquared buildings, please check each individual one to make sure that it is correct or not. If it is not correct, then you can adjust it and then go on to the map paint styles. If it is definitely does not need correcting, because there are non-right angle corners on it, so the angular corners or round sections, then don't square that building, please. So you can't take it just as, I've got a whole batch of unsquared buildings. I've got them all selected. I'll just press Q on my keyboard and they'll all be squared. You need to check each one to make sure they are valid. Right, if there are unsquared buildings and there are too many to fix, check if they are valid. If they're not, you go on to the next section. If they are valid, then please invalidate. if there's too many to fix. You should not spend more than 5 or 10 minutes fixing up items on a task, so that this process can be, the validation process can move a lot more quickly. Right, so if we go on to the next section, which is running the map paint styles. Now, I discussed with you the map paint styles, and I showed you how they highlight errors and problems, and also to show you issues with highways. So please use the map paint styles and get to know and understand them and what they are telling you. Right, once again, the same process. If there are only a few issues and they are valid, please fix them. If they're not valid, please go on to the next section. If there's too many to fix and they are valid, please invalidate with a polite comment on how to fix it. Right, moving on. So the next section will be to check for any alignment issues with the imagery. Now, please read the instructions again carefully to make sure that you know that you either have to move the background imagery to match up with existing features, or whether you have to move the existing features to match the imagery. That is important so that we are consistent over the whole of the project. So if there are no issues, you can validate. If there are issues, you can fix up if there are only a few and they are valid, or if there's too many, once again, you go through to invalidate. So that is the process of validating. And at the end, of course, you can validate. Now, when you validate, if you come across someone who has understood what they're doing and they've mapped everything correctly, please tag their name in the comment and thank them for their work, and also tell them that they have got it correct. People are sitting at home with no contact whatsoever. They're not quite sure whether the work they are doing is good or bad, or they're just making a total mess of things. So any encouragement to them to tell them that they've got it right and they're doing very well is going to go down well and is going to help them and encourage them to carry on mapping. And that's what we are about as validator ambassadors. We are wanting to help people to map better, but we also want to, those that are mapping well, we want to encourage those to keep mapping. So having done that and given your comment, please do. Now, as far as comments to individuals are concerned, if you identify that a single mapper is making a number of mistakes, please do not be shy. You can point this out to them politely, but don't expect perfection from beginners. This won't happen, and even advanced mappers are still making some errors. Please pick out one specific point, let's just say unsquared buildings, and then check which editor the mapper is using, and give them instructions on how to correctly square the buildings, so that going forward you will have fewer errors to be fixed up and make your validation easier. So by correctly showing people how to improve their mapping also helps you to move the validation along a lot quicker. So please understand that. Do not be shy. Please give people advice how to fix their problems in the comments. Right, thank you. I've been through the whole process here with you. I am now open to any questions you may have. And please, there is no silly question. There is only silly mistakes because the silly question was not asked. So if you have any question whatsoever, please ask. It may be that others are also wanting to ask that question, but are a bit shy to do so. So you will be helping them as well, because they will all hear the answer. So please type into the uh, chat any questions you may have, or into the questions and answer column, um, which you can find from the little meeting tools section down in the bottom right of your screen.
Maybe let's give them a few minutes more. So you can ask Ralph any question. This is about validation. It's about the JOSM program itself. It could even be about mapping in Myanmar. And yeah, I think this is a good opportunity to interact with Ralph and hear a little more. So if there's any questions, let us know in the chat.
While I'm waiting for questions, I can show on my screen one of the Myanmar projects which has been completed and which I have done a third pass. And I will talk through what I am finding regarding the validation so that you understand what kind of things do get missed and what kind of things need to be fixed. So I'm going to share my screen again with my JOSM.
I think there's no questions for now. So maybe let's just look through the example that you have mentioned. And on my end, I will collect any questions from them again on the WhatsApp and forward it to you.
Okay, what I have done is I have opened up my JOSM and I've opened up a project which has been 100% validated. And I'm going to run my JOSM. Let's just see, first of all, the imagery that was used was Esri. So let's open Esri in the background. And I'm going to run my validation function so that we can see. And let's just see what kind of issues do get missed. Okay, it's taking a little while as it works through all of these. Okay, now I can see here on the right-hand side that there are 15 errors and 420 warnings. Now, I'm going to show you a printout of all of those here. And because this is only a buildings project, the kind of things that I shouldn't be seeing on this list of validation results is a building inside building. There was 2 of those that were missed. Crossing a barrier and a building is crossing. Then there's this one, which is considerably worrying. Crossing building highway, 34 instances. Crossing a building residential area is quite a common one. There were 69 instances of that. Crossing building waterway 1, that is very good. I'm happy to see that that has been kept to a minimum. But here is what worries me is overlapping buildings 64. Now, these are quite a lot to be missed. And this is what I find when I do a third pass. Now, I just pointing out to you that things do get missed. So it's important to try and be as accurate as possible and checking correctly while you're validating. As you can see, that was the case in this one. I'll go back to here, and here we go. There it is, buildings inside buildings, 2 incidences. Now, what does this look like? And here is what we have. We have one large building there and one small building there, occupying the same space. The other one is 2 buildings. So someone has mapped a small building and someone has mapped a large building. We can have a look at the history of this one, Control H, and I see that that was done on the 17th of the 9th at 3:59. And the other one, Control H, was done on the 16th of the 9th. So we can see that one building was drawn later than the other building, but this may be a problem in that the person who drew the second building did not actually see the first building. So I can see that that was drawn with JOSM, so this should not have been happening. We need to be a little bit more careful about adding buildings and deleting others. So here is an example of how points do get missed and why we insist on doing a third pass. Now, I'm going to do another thing now, is I'm going to just check with the Mapathoner on non-orthogonal buildings. And I see quite a lot of red spots coming up, which are showing unsquared buildings. Now, this may be the case, but I can see that they should have been squared. They should have been squared. They should have been squared. So you can understand that the non-orthogonal mapathon function was not being used. And I'd like to see it used more often so that we can fix up the mapping. Right, thank you very much. I hope you understand that while validation is a process of checking other people's work, it's not always perfect and some things do get missed. However, as you can see, there is a way of checking the overall project to make sure that it is okay and correct. Right, thank you. I will now wait to see if there are any questions. And over to you, Bernard.
Sorry, my internet is very bad right now. Did you manage to catch what I said, Ralph? I think Ralph can't see it, can't hear me. Ralph, did you manage to catch what I said?
Can you repeat that, please, Bernard?
No, I can you hear me? I was asking, my internet was cut out, so I was not sure if you responded to Nairingtun's and Tanzimo's question on the chat. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I'm just looking through how to map road intersection with circular junction and define correct tagging. Okay, the circular junction would be a roundabout, and that would be drawn separate to the road. And you would need to be able to do a one-way on that. So it would be split to be able to do a one-ways. I just wondering if we have one on an example here. Just give me a moment while I check to see. Okay, here on the screen, you can see where you have a circular junction. And the junction, you have got to, when you draw the junction, you will draw a single circle, and you can round it with pressing O on your keyboard. Once you've got it round, you then have to make sure, because roundabouts usually are one-way systems. So you first of all, in the country that you're mapping, you identify the direction of travel. Here in the UK, you travel on the left-hand side of the road. On the Europe, you travel on the right-hand side of the road. So you have to check which country you are in and what direction of travel the road takes. Having done that, the roundabout will be a one-way system. However, it may be that there are route relations, in other words, a bus route or a travel route, in which case you will have to split up the roundabout to accommodate those, and split the road as they're going in so that the direction of road is correct. So that one is going into the roundabout, that one is coming off the roundabout. So you can see that one's coming off the roundabout, that one's going into the roundabout, that one's coming off the roundabout. Now, this is a unique roundabout in the sense that the main road is shown as running through continuous. So this is an interesting one that's been drawn here and may or may not be correct. Now, I can see that that runs in to there, and this runs continuous along here. But so I would take a closer look at this to see if it is correct. But this is the way that it would be done. Thansinma, does that help your question?
Yes. Thank you, Ralph. I got it. Yes. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. I think he's having some sound issue. I'll write in the chat.
Yes, I did hear you, and thank you. Now I'm looking for the next question.
Nywington, he repeated the question in the chat.
Okay, I'm looking for Nangwing question.
I can repeat it for you, Ralph. Can you hear me?
Okay, yes, I can hear you.
He's saying, please explain about map paint style used in validation process. It shows error message.
Okay. Which map paint style is being used?
Let me write in the chat as well. It's being used and what kind of error message? Okay. Nywington, you can let us know in the chat. Okay, while Nywington responds to us, Ta Tet Ong has another question.
All right. When duplicate buildings are found, for example, when two mappers have mapped the same building. Right. Deciding which one to keep in duplicate buildings. This would rely on the accuracy of the building. I would look at which building is the most accurate and keep that one, and delete the other one. It is your choice. That's why I say you must understand what you're looking at so that you can make those informed decisions. But I would always look at which one is the most accurate and correct, and I would make that the one that I would keep and delete the other one. Right, I'm still waiting, Bernard, for which map paint style. However, I can switch on my map paint styles.
He has responded saying that he only used clear map features in JOSM. Is that helpful?
Okay, the map paint styles that I would be using is one is the missing maps youth mappers validator check. So The other one that I use is the Apple Validator. And there's another one called the inline validation, and all three of those could be helpful, but really run them one at a time. So I'll give you an example of the missing maps. I switch that on, and I will try and see whether that has done anything yet. And I see here, the first part is all of these orange markers. Now, what that does is it tells you that these buildings have been tagged with a different tag. The usual tag that we use in mapping is building equals yes. And most of the buildings drawn from imagery would be buildings equals yes. However, some people may have added local knowledge to the building. And in this case, this building is now building equals hospital. Now, you asked which one would you choose. If you switch on your missing maps validator, map paint style, you will highlight those that have got local knowledge tagged like that. You do not want to delete the one with the local knowledge. You want to keep the one with the local knowledge. Also, if you want to redraw any of these, please make sure that you transfer the tagging and geometry to the new building you draw. Do not delete the one with local knowledge. If you do not want to do a merge of information, then just move the nodes and adjust the building accordingly. Please do not get rid of buildings that have local knowledge. Okay, and here's another one that has got quite a lot of information. It's got the address. It's a building hospital. It's got building levels 1, and it's got a name. If you can see, oh, that's very small, but it is also named. So you can see that a lot of information here is of local knowledge. Here's some more local knowledge where we have address, street, the name of the public office and the office government, right? So these are government offices here. So please, when you are validating, please be careful that you do not interfere with local knowledge tagging and local knowledge buildings. This is very important. So there's an example of how the map paint styles will help you to make an informed decision. I'm going to switch that one off, and the Apple Validator I switch on, and you will see that the Apple Validator changes the color of the highways. Now, to understand what this is about is going to help you with route relations. If a route has got a relation added to it, so it's a bus route or a tram route, this will help you to understand the road has been subdivided. So you can see that this brown road here is continuous along its length, and that's because it is one single with no breaks or splits. However, if I have a look at this red road, and I can see that it splits here. Now that is a one-way coming off, and that is going on. So you can see here the two separate roads linking into Pai Ta Tha Road. So this is how this map paint style helps you as well. Now you saw in the warnings that there were buildings that were linking to highways. I'm going to try and see if I can show you that. Okay, my computer's a bit slow. No, I'm not seeing any there. Let's just see. I'll switch back. Right. Okay, let's just see. To the missing maps. And let's have a look. Overlapping buildings. Let's zoom into one of those. And now we can see here there are a number of overlapping buildings here. So if I put on the Apple validator, and the Apple validator immediately starts to highlight overlapping buildings, overlapping buildings. And as you zoom out, you can still see that they're overlapping, they're turned red. So you can see that that is happening there. Let me just do a little bit of adjusting here. Right. Now I've made this building with a tag joining onto a road, and you can see that immediately it highlights that as well. If I switch off the Apple one and I use the missing maps one, you can see the missing map ones has a bright red triangle that will help you, as you can see there. That is helping you to understand that there is a problem there that needs fixing. If it's something that it wants you to look at, let's just show you. If I merge two nodes, it comes up with an orange triangle to say, whoops, have a look there. Should those two buildings be joined together? And these are not indicators that you have to fix something. These are indicators that you need to have a look to see whether it is incorrect or correct. The map paint styles are not intelligent AIs. They are only highlighting facts. A building is joined to another building. Please check, is what it's saying to you. A building is connected to a road. Please check. That's what the map paint styles are telling you. The same as the errors in the JOSM validation function. They are asking you to check something to make sure it is correct or it isn't correct. Please remember that, and don't totally rely on the machine to make your decisions for you. As validators, you need to make your own informed decisions as to what is or is not correct. Thank you very much. Back to you, Bernard.
Thanks a lot for hosting this training, Ralph. Happy to have heard so much on the different tips and tricks when it comes to working with JOSM to support validation. At this point, I would like to thank the gurus also for your participation, especially given that this is the fifth or sixth workshop that you have been to in this month itself. Going forward, we continue to be available. If you have any question, be it in English or Burmese, just reach out to me, reach out to Ralph, do it through Slack. We're trying to see how we can support you in ensuring that we can have better map data in Myanmar itself.